And all my other entities. Um, Hello to everybody. So today is Financial Fridays. I'm excited. This week I have learned quite a bit. I'm not going to try to cram it all into one video. But today on Financial Fridays, the whole purpose of this, let me back up a little. The purpose of Vision Accomplished, which is my company, is to make sure that whatever it takes to help you accomplish your vision, that's what we do. So that's why we call it Vision Accomplished, because whatever your vision is, that's what we're working towards helping you accomplish. So one of the things that encompasses success or the completion of a vision is your finances, your health, your relationships, and your thought process. So that's your mental, your physical, your spiritual, and your relationships, and your economics. All of those things determine your success. So that's why we're doing Financial Fridays. One of the things about Financial Fridays is that as I learn, you're learning also. So this week I learned a whole bunch in finances because as well as I'm talking to you and sharing with you, I'm also implementing these things myself. A lot of the videos that I've noticed are for people who've already made it and already told you how they did it. So this time we're working through this together. So today we're going to talk about assets versus liabilities. And the one thing that I learned this week is that a lot of times we are not short of assets, meaning our money, our investments, our stocks, whatever assets that we have. We unfortunately sometimes have more liabilities than we have assets. So it's really nothing wrong with our assets. The issue is our spending habits and our liabilities. So what is an asset and what is the liability? An asset is anything that adds to your financial uh, growth, gain, or it adds to or gives a picture of what you're worth. That's what an asset is. It tells you what you're worth, how much you're worth. When you look at your favorite stars or your favorite actors, it talks about their net worth and their growth worth. It talks about their financial worth. That's what they're talking about, what they're worth, meaning how many assets they have. Your liabilities is anything that takes away from your worth or your net worth or your growth. So in order to get an accurate estimate as to where you are economically, you have to add up all of your assets and deduct whatever your liabilities are. For me, sitting down doing that was a very hair-raising experience. It was also enlightening because I also learned that I have a whole lot more assets than I thought I did. A lot of times we only think of assets as far as cash, house, car. And we're going to talk about that a little bit, about what I learned about the house and the car part. It's not as much of an asset as you think. So if you're thinking assets, let's give some examples. Let's talk about a car. We just brought that up. Let's talk about a car. Is a car an asset? If you have a car that you're paying a car note on, that is a liability because that is taking away from your net worth. So if you go out here and you buy a $600,000 car, or okay, let's be a little more realistic. Let's say you buy a $60,000 or $100,000 car, and you're like, yeah, this is an asset. I got this car, this and the other. Well, I'm sorry, love. That's a liability because you have to pay a bill on that car note. If you didn't pay cash, if you have a car note, that is a liability. If you're paying insurance, that's another liability. If you're paying for any repairs, maintenance, that's a liability. Now, let's say on the other hand, you have a car that's completely paid for, doesn't need any mechanical maintenance, you're good with it, it doesn't need anything, then that can be counted as a liability because it's really not taking anything from you, and whatever its value is what its value is. Now, the funny thing about cars and their ability to be assets is the moment you drive it off the lot, it depreciates almost by half. So whatever the sticker value, the moment you cross that threshold on the parking lot and get on the street to go away, it has completely depreciated and is no longer holds its value. I can say that I used to be an insurance adjuster. And one of the arguments that I used to get into with a lot of the insurers was they're like, well, my car is, I paid $80,000 for it. Why do you only want to give me 40? Well, because the actual market value of your car is not what you paid for it. It has lost its value. So that gives you an idea of what an asset versus a liability is. Let's talk about a house. If you want to buy a house, you go out, let's say you find an $80,000 house, beautiful home, you love it. You were sold the American dream of having your own house. You want to own it. You're excited. You're like, yes, I've got this asset. If you purchase it today, it is not an asset. It is a liability because it has no equity in it. Meaning the money that you're paying into it kind of, so that I can kind of give you a visual, goes into after you've gotten past the principal. Gotten past the interest. The principal goes into like a little, I want to say, let's say a little pocket. And let's say later on in life, you decide, well, I need 20,000. I want to do some home repairs. Then you would borrow against the equity in your home. So if your house has no equity, it is a liability because you still have to do maintenance, you still have to do other things, and it's costing you. Now, if you have your house, it's already paid off, it's already, you have 100% equity, then it's an asset. It's no longer a liability. It becomes a part of your net worth. Let's talk about jewelry. Okay, let's say you go out and you buy this bad gold bracelet, and it is, let's say, 14 karat gold. And we'll talk about gold value on another occasion because the carats of gold determine its value. So it determines how the scale is that if you got a 14 karat gold, that means there's only a certain amount of it's gold and a certain amount of it's something else. Pure gold is soft, so that's why they have to add other elements in it. But that's another story. Anyway, so let's say you go out and buy this really bad gold bracelet, and you spend, let's say, $10,000 on it, and you're like, okay, this is an asset. It's an asset, but it's not at the value that you bought it. Because again, once you purchase it, it depreciates. Any damage is done to it, any dings that it gets in it can depreciate it. And so what you paid for it is not the value of it. So you can count that as an asset, but it's not the asset that you think it is. Let's talk about gym shoes. And I brought this up, and I also did a transcript of this on the website, and I'll put the link to that in a little while. Let's talk about if you go out and buy a $300 pair of gym shoes. They're the latest gym shoes. You figure, yeah, I done the doggone thing. I bought these shoes. They're worth this and the other. Yeah, I'm a better person because I have them. They're not an asset. They're a possession, but they're not really an asset. A bank is not going to count your shoes as a part of your net worth. It's just some clothing that you have. And yes, you can resell them, but you're not going to resell them at the value that you purchased them unless it's your intent to put them in a box, never wear them, never touch them, and leave them there. Now, maybe 20 years down the line, they may be an asset. But right now, there's some pretty expensive gym shoes that are, you're just going to wear on your feet for the sake of saying you have them. So now that we kind of got an idea of your assets versus your liabilities, a lot of us, there's nothing wrong with our assets. So if you work every day, if you have a 401k, let's say you have a car that's paid for, you have some assets, and they're probably substantial. The problem is, and this is the problem that I ran into, my assets are fine. There's nothing wrong with my assets. My issue is that I allowed my liabilities to override or to become more than my assets. So I became upside down. So one of my things was credit. So just, personal testimony. This time last year, my credit was fine. Everything was fine. Money is flowing. I'm, getting ready for my daughter's wedding. I'm doing all kinds of things. Credit cards are coming. Hey, we'll give you these high amounts. I'm like, hey, my credit's good. These people are looking at me. I can get this done. Yay. This was fine. But what happened is, the thing about credit cards, and we can talk about that really quick. Credit cards are a liability. They're not an asset. Now, they can be an asset as far as if you keep your credit spending under 30%, and it helps your credit score. But as far as an asset, it is not an asset. And here's why. If you spend, let's say, $200 on charge something for $200, and you don't pay it off within, a few days, or at the worst, 28 days, forget 30 days, because 30 days, it's not always 30 days. I don't care what they tell you. So let's say if you don't pay it off in 20 days, the complete amount, you now have interest on there, which means you're going to be paying more for that $200 purchase. You're probably going to end up paying, if you pay it off the next month, you probably end up paying anywhere from 220 to 250. If you wait a year, you're probably going to pay $500 for a $200 purchase. So that is not an asset. That is a liability. If you found yourself in a place of you're like, I just don't know where my money's going. I don't know where my money's going. It's probably because you're paying credit cards. And it's probably because you're paying high interest rates. And so you're paying more money than you spit out. So your liabilities are sucking up your assets. Now, for some of you, your assets are just not liquid. So it may seem like you don't have an asset, but you do. So if you have a retirement plan, you have 401k, you have some stocks that you have invested in, let's say you have a business that you're starting, that you're only getting a little bit from, but not a whole lot from. If you are working on some items that you're trying to sell or publish, things like that, those are assets. The problem comes is if you ever played Pac-Man as a kid. I used to love Pac-Man. Pac-Man is a perfect example of financial health because what all Pac-Man did all day long, he had one job, and that was to eat up all the little dots. That's all he did. And this is what interest rate does. This is what liabilities do. They have one job, and that is to eat up everything that you have in your asset column. So what you have to do is, just like in Pac-Man, some of you younger people may seen it or remember it. Us older people remember it. The only time Pac-Man got ghosts, literally, is when the ghosts would come out to get him. And the only thing that could destroy him. So we'll consider ghosts as knowledge and information. So as long as you don't allow or learn or study or educate yourself on your financial situation, your liabilities, just like Pac-Man, will eat up all of your assets. And you will find yourself in a place of where you're like, where is my money? I'm doing the same thing I was doing before, but my money just seems to be vanishing. I will give credit where credit is due. The wonderful financial advisor at NACA, who taught me this week. He didn't use the Pac-Man analogy, but he really educated me on what liabilities do and what credit interest rates do, and how spending through credit cards can be very damaging. So if you don't control or don't begin to combat the liabilities, they will absolutely eat up all of your assets. So on this Financial Friday, as we take this journey, this is what I suggest to you. You get a piece of paper, fold it in half. Write down all of your assets on one side and all of your liabilities on the other. Don't leave out any liability. So if getting coffee every morning is something that you just have to do, because some people have to do it, some people you don't want to mess with their coffee. You don't want to do it. Don't do it. So if coffee every morning is something that you just have to absolutely have, then what you'll need to do is that'll have to be in your liability, because that's something that you're spending out constantly. If you going out to dinner or going out to the movie, that's a liability because it's something that's taken away from your value. If you have stocks, because like me, I never counted my 401k or my stocks, or I didn't even count the book in my assets. I just didn't know why. But that's an asset because that's something that brings money into the household or brings money into my life. So think about these things. Your cell phone, if your cell phone is not being used to make money, it's an asset. It's a liability. It's not an asset. So if you went out and spent $1,000, $2,000 on the latest iPhone and you are not using it to make any money with it, it is a liability. It is not an asset. It's pretty, but it's not an asset. So today, do an honest assessment as to where you are. Because the only way that you can go forward, the only way you can grow, is to be honest with where you are. So be honest where you are. Give an honest assessment of, your assets versus your liabilities. And then, just like in the game of Pac-Man, send your information out to begin to knock down. The gentleman that I spoke with this week, he told me, he said, look, this is the mistake a lot of people do. And I'll share with you what he shared with me. A lot of times people try to pay off a lot of closed credit accounts. He said, those are not your issues. And even though I don't have any closed, but he said, those are not your issues. He said, your issues are your accounts that have the highest interest rates. He said, those are the ones you want to go after first. He said, once you knock down the high interest rate accounts, he said, then you go after the smaller ones. So I am a firm believer that education goes a long way. And then when you educate yourself, then you can make informed decisions. Because me, I was looking at the smaller balances and it's like, okay, I'll take off the smaller cards first and then I'll do the bigger ones. When in actuality, some of the middle ones had crazy interest rates that I just didn't even realize. I just didn't. And so he was like, no, 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 no. Take those out first and then we'll deal with the rest. So I share with you today. Get an honest assessment as to where you are as far as your economics, and then start working from there. It is not a hopeless situation. I don't care what mistake you made. I don't care what mistake you think you made. I don't care if you don't think you don't have any money. Here's something that, oh, I want to share this with you. I really do. And hear me out. So I was having one of my pity moments, and every once in a while I do. Where I was like, God, where's the money? What's going on? And he just kind of tapped me. Was like, money's all around you. What are you talking about? You don't lack any money. What are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, we do. See the bills, see what I need to pay. And then he had to show me just little things. It was just little things that I had to learn to be thankful for. So little things like I have a jar that I just keep changing. He's like, there's money. Okay. Little things like if, money laying on the floor, there's money. There's currency. Um, Little things like looking at what my 401k is actually worth. It was like, I'm not broke. Broke it all. So perception has a lot to do with your financial health. How you perceive yourself has a lot to deal with your financial health. And on this Financial Fridays, if I don't do anything else but help you with your financial perception of yourself, I pray that that's what I do. Because here's the thing. If you perceive yourself as broke, if you perceive yourself as unsuccessful, if you perceive yourself as not having, you're going to get just what you're perceiving. And the sad part is 9 times out of 10, you're not as bad a shape as you think you are. You're only saying that a lot of times because that's what you're taught. A lot of times we go around talking about how broke we are, what we don't have, because that's something we've always heard. And in particular, in certain communities, it's almost hammered into our heads that we don't have. And that's not true. It's just not. It's not true. I cannot stress that. You have millionaires walking amongst you. And if you ever sit down and add up how much money, down to the penny of how much money came into your house in 1 year, you'll be amazed at how much money came through your hands. The problem is the devourer, as liabilities, ate it up and you didn't get to see it. It didn't mean you didn't have it. It means the devourer took it away. So what you have to do is now educate yourself and formulate yourself to do war to stop the devourer from getting not one more penny from you. Not one more penny will get devoured that you don't get to see. Next year, 2020, you're going to get to enjoy your money. And here's why. Because you're going to educate yourself. I sound like the thing off that commercial. Educate yourself. You're going to educate yourself. You're going to get all the information you can. And you're going to do differently. A lot of times when New Year is coming up, we do these New Year, do me things. New Year, new me. I'm going to do things different. I'm going to be this, this, that, and the other. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to have all this money. And like on Facebook is on it, Jack. Facebook right now is, 2020. I'm touching new money. It's on it. And I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that vibe. Because doggone it is for me. But if you don't do anything different, if you don't change what you're doing, you'll be 2020 in December the fifth or the sixth having the same conversation. So in your hopefulness and in your drive for 2020, make it a commitment to yourself to become financially healthy. On Mondays, we do mental Mondays. And the whole purpose of me doing mental is because if you don't take care of your mind and your heart, no matter what you do with all the rest of these things, it's gonna bottom out. Because you have to take care of this first. This is your central machine. This right here runs everything else. Your mind runs your body. It runs your thoughts. It runs everything in your body. It's a wonderful machine. But when it's off or not right, it will draw to you some heck of a situation that you really don't want. So that's why I do the mental Mondays, because you need to understand where you are and where to go. So remember to tune in for mental Mondays. That'll be Monday. Weight loss Wednesday, because we're dealing with the physical part. Because if you're unhealthy or if you're uncomfortable with where you are, it affects up here. And Financial Fridays we're doing because you need to control your money. Stop letting interest rates, banks, personal loans, student loans, everybody else is controlling your money but you. And that should not be, because it's your money. Especially if you worked every day, 40 days, 40 hours a week to get that money, it's yours. And nobody else should be controlling it but you, because you worked for it. So I'm hoping in the coming weeks that this will help you. This will inspire you. I'm going to keep talking to people. I know some excellent financial people, and I'm going to get with them and see where we go from there. But our goal in 2020 is to be 110% financially healthy, so that when we revisit in 2020 in December, we will have a completely different financial report card. So today, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you with all my heart. Remember the book, 30 Days to Live. Gotta get that right. 30 Days to Live by Ann Talley is still available on Amazon.com. It is still available on Arthur House. Please get your copy. I promise you won't be disappointed. There's some things in there that God shared with me, and I wanted to share with you, because I just knew that I could not be the only one going through it. And the premise of me writing that book was I found myself in a situation where I kept going around the same mulberry bush. I kept enduring the same type of situations. And for the life of me, I could not figure out why. And oh my gosh, it was so frustrating. And I remember one day God telling me, your mouth is your problem. And then he began to really minister to me and let me know that I'm created in his image. So as his daughter, for you who are out there, as his daughter, as his son, just like my children have some of the same rights and authorities that I have. And in some cases, when their name can't get them somewhere, mine does. So when they can't get it done, they come back and get mama. And mama can get it done. So the same thing with you and your heavenly father. He is your dad. And sometimes when your name ain't good enough, his is. And you need to understand your place with him and how he created you and what he created you to do, and that you're made in his image and what that really means. We take that so lightly. We take so lightly the words that come out of our mouths. Um, you got to stop, and you got to realize that there's power in your words, and your word generates from who you are. So when you remember, when you discover who you are, then you can talk about who you are a little differently, and you'll see some things change. You'll see a lot change. There's also a chapter in there that talks about pearls before swine. Some of us really, really, really need to read that chapter. If you don't read nothing else, read that chapter. Because a lot of times what God blesses us with and what God gives us in our efforts to please other people, we give it away. And we keep giving and we keep giving. And even after we're empty, we keep giving. And it's no longer because We like them. It's because we want them to like us. And just like a pig, if you keep throwing him things, when you don't have nothing else to give, they'll turn on you and they'll come and attack. And then you become that, oh, she wasn't nothing who she thinks she is or who she think he is. Then you become the object of attack because you've given up everything you had for a person who really wasn't deserving. So get your copy. I promise it'll bless you. It's a little small read. It's not a whole bunch of pages. It's only 7 short chapters. And actually it's only, let's see, 40 pages long. You can read this in about an hour. But get your copy. It'll bless you. Also, Support Saturday is coming. I'm excited. This year for Christmas, I have decided that I am supporting local businesses because that's who needs it. Walmart has enough money. And even though I love Walmart, I really do, they have enough money. Your local businesses, the people who feed families, need your money. So that doesn't mean that you have to cut Walmart off completely. No, that does mean that your local businesses need your money too. So if you have to do a 50-50 split. So the bracelets that I showed you last Support Saturday, my daughter, I'm buying 5 of those to give as gifts. When she makes another line, I'm buying some more of those. T-shirts, whatever I got to give, those are given as gifts. So I pray that this bless you. I hope that it helps you because it's helping me. And as I'm growing, I'm sharing with you so you can grow as well. I do not believe that there's a shortage of money. There's just a shortage of support. So today, go out and have a wonderful day. Have a magnificent day. I pray that you will take an honest assessment of your finances. Um, don't be scared. When my finances got out of whack, I found myself where I allowed fear to set in. And fear to such a degree is where I wouldn't even answer on the phone. I would just look at it. So don't let the liabilities frighten you. Sometimes you got to take the bull by the head. You just got to be like, okay, look. And if you don't do nothing but answer the phone, be like, because this is where I am. If you don't do nothing but answer the phone, be like, look, I ain't got it today. What we can do? What can we do? And you'll find that when you're honest about it, the creditors will try to help you. They're not against you, but you got to talk to them so that they can help you. And maybe one day we'll talk about some of that as well. But that's only after I get a little more education. And I'm going to reach out to some of my dear friends as we grow. So, oh, I forgot that part. Like, share, subscribe. We could really use some more subscribers. I want to keep doing this. I want to keep sharing. So subscribe. Facebook, Instagram, like, subscribe. I'm working on getting another device so that we can do the Facebook Live in as well. Because I would like to have all 3 of you at the same time. Right now, we're only doing Periscope and we're doing YouTube, and I'm sharing it to the Facebook page. Remember the Facebook page, 30 Days to Live. Go on, like the page, follow us. Let's do this thing together. I promise you, you'll be inspired. There's something on there that will inspire you. There's also some local businesses that I share and I support and I cheerlead behind that, will bless your life. YouTube is Vision Accomplished. Follow us on YouTube. Like, share. I'm hoping that this will become a movement. I've seen a lot of other YouTube pages, and the difference between me and them is I'm just honest with you. I'm real. There's some days I may get on here I ain't got no makeup on, and you're gonna have to get over it. There's some days that I may get on here and look like a perfect China doll. There's some days that I may not be having a good day, but talk back to me. Let's take this journey together. It's hard to take a journey with a bunch of people. A dear friend of mine once said, if ain't nobody following, you ain't doing nothing but taking a walk. I don't want to take a walk. So y'all come on and go with me. So like, subscribe, share. For those who already followed, like, subscribe, share, thumbs up, all that good stuff. For you who have already done so, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you so much. For those who are sitting out on the side to see what's going to happen, come on in. Jump on in. The water's fine. You might as well go on and hit that like button. I love you all. You have an amazing day. It's Friday. Do something you want to do for a change. Today, I am going to get my Christmas tree. And we are going to start the decorating process for the house. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. I love you all. I appreciate you so much. You all have just made my heart so joyful, and I thank you. So like, share, subscribe. I love you. Don't forget, book is still available. Make a good New Year's gift for yourself. All right. Love you guys. Bye now.